Hello everyone. Today I just want to share with you how to build and design a beautiful succulent planter just like this. Thicken it up a little bit. I can attach that with a wood wire. Hello everyone. Today's a beautiful day and it's a perfect day to be out in the potting shed here to plant a succulent garden or succulent planter here. I want to show you some of the steps, the tips on how to design it. I'm going to first start out by taking a container that has a hole at the bottom. So it really is a planter. It's a good idea because succulents generally require a lot of drainage, that it doesn't like wet soil. So you don't want anything that doesn't have proper drainage. So I've selected this beautiful container. The first thing I'm going to do is find a little rock that will just sort of plug it up well enough so that the soil doesn't sift through. So I just got it plugged in there so that it still drains, but it does help with plugging it up so that the soil doesn't sift through. And then I'm going to take a little bit of gravel and I'm going to spread it to the bottom so that it has a little bit of that at the bottom so that the soil nor the plants will sit in wet soil. And then I have a little bit of a mixture of sand and a little bit of just regular potting soil, but heavy on sand, that I'm going to put onto the very bottom layer so it has good proper drainage. So really the idea is to have the little stone and then the little pebbles, the gravel, and then sort of a sand layer so that it stays nice and well drained. And then into that, I'm going to put a little bit of potting soil. It's just a standard potting soil. I don't necessarily always use a succulent or a cactus soil. I just find that a good potting soil with good nourishment in it is really the best at this point. So in designing this particular succulent planter, we want to, as I say, design it. So what we want to do is sort of figure out how to sort of landscape this thing. So we have a beautiful aloe vera that's going to spill over to the side. We have a beautiful echeveria that we're going to use in somewhere in through the middle. We're going to use a stone crop, or this is a sedum, that's going to go a little high over to the side. We also have an aeonium. It's a very dark, beautiful plant. It goes a little bit tall, so we want to make sure it's sort of smack in the middle. We're going to use also another interesting aeonium to this, or the echeveria to the side. We have number of different types of sedum. There's this one. There's also a sempervivum. This is arachnoides, which is because it has a little cobwebby kind of a patterning inside of it. So that's why it's called arachnoides, which is like spider, actually, in Latin. And then we have several different other little fillers in between. They're all little sedum, stone crops that really give you a nice sort of over-the-edge hanging effect. So with that, also, we're going to use a combination of lichen branch for a little dash of color and texture, and some stone that we're going to landscape it with. So we want to make sure that there's room for all of this. Now, this is being designed so that it's ready for a party for next week. So we want to fill it, but also give it enough space for it to grow through the summer months. So I got the first few plants, sort of the premier plants in this planter. First, I put in the aloe vera, which is a little top heavy and leaning to the side to prevent it from going tippy too far over. I've actually anchored it with a stone against the side wall of that planter so that it stays right there and grows nice and robust there. I also, after I planted these feature pieces, I've also put in the rock that's standing up, and then I'm about to kind of work in the stone that's going to lay flat so that we have a very nice sort of landscaping with these rocks. So creating a beautiful succulent garden designed is like landscaping. So now with the stone And now also with the lichen branches, I'm going to just add a little bit more interesting texture and a linear flow through this so that it's not just a planter, that it's really a very design piece. So the lichen with its chartreuse moss is so beautiful, or the moss is so beautiful. I'm going to kind of crisscross it across so that it works against the beautiful rocks, and also gives you a nice contrast of the smoothness of the succulent surfaces to the roughness and the color of the beautiful moss. I'm going to take the aeonium and I'm going to plant it right there alongside the rock and right next to the chartreuse moss. I'm going to also take an echeveria, beautiful color. It flows beautifully with the color of this sedum and the aeonium. I'm going to feature it right here, more at the edge. You notice that I have the soil sort of placed as I'm planting it, so that I'm not filling the whole thing and digging it up. So I'm just placing all the material and then pushing the soil up against it. So then I'm going to take now the jelly bean plant. It's another sedum, and this one is going to be placed strategically over on this side so that it has a different texture that goes along this combination here. I'm going to take now some of the small fine sedum creepers so that they now will hug alongside and in between some of the bigger pieces so that they'll spill out of this planter and sort of carpet the base as well as to spill out the side. So I finished this planting of it, and I also included another rock to just kind of cut the edge of this planter so it has that kind of a landscape look. In between, to cover a little bit of the soil, I added the river rocks as well in sort of assorted colors, so it fills in and it's truly a landscape piece in this particular planter of succulents. So now that I've got it all done, what I want to do is soak it down really thoroughly. These are, after all, succulents of all different kinds, and that they're very hardy and they don't require a whole lot of water. But initially after planting, because the roots has been uprooted and been disturbed, and so we want to make sure that it's soaked down as well as possible. We have taken the precaution with the sand at the bottom and pebbles at the bottom so that the water doesn't sit at the bottom of the container, but we want to soak it down really well. And how do we care for this? Basically, it just needs to be watered maybe once a week, really thoroughly. I prefer it that it gets a real thorough watering instead of little dibble here and there, because sometimes when you do it repeatedly, you really don't know how much you watered. So I like to water about once a week and really thoroughly. They will take hold and they will do very well together. They are not invasive to each other. They'll just fill this pot beautifully and spill over the edges, a lot of these creepers, and it's going to give you lots of enjoyment through the summer month. Well, hope you enjoyed this video. There's a lot more to come, so don't forget to subscribe.